Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Today I'm going to be talking about why I left GD. I have a few people asking me these questions, and so I'm going to try my best to answer them again. I know that I did an episode about this. It's been a long time, though, but I know that I did an episode about that, and maybe I didn't really get deep into it. And maybe a lot of people are asking that because they see that, my son, he talked about this on his platform. So I'm going to talk about that today and try to maybe dig a little deeper into the real reasons behind I left. Not just that I got tired. I'm going to try to explore that question and see if I can really nail down, what it was that, made me just walk away from something that I had proclaimed to love for 20 years. So, with that said, I hope that you enjoy this episode. I hope that you learn something from it. More importantly, I hope that any of you young people out there that may be listening to this, don't be fooled, man. Don't be fooled by it. And any of you young people, or mature people for that matter, that might be a part of it, man. I get where you're coming from. I've been there. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, any ideology that requires you to conduct yourself in the way that gangs do, uh, it's not something that you should be proud of. It's not something that you should want to continue to do. And I understand, feeling trapped in it and obligated to it, but it's just not the way, y'all. It's not the way. It's going to lead you down a path that you're going to discover one day that um, it's going to make you understand that you've been a prisoner the whole time. That you've been a prisoner of it the whole time. So, with that said, I'm going to just jump on into this. Sit back, relax, y'all, and enjoy the show. Why did I leave GD? Um, I left GD back in, I think it was like 2007, 2008, something like that. I know I was at another facility. Um, I had been a member for over 20 years, y'all. 20 years. At one time, I was the treasurer of the entire state, as far as me, in prison. Uh, I left GD on the surface, I guess you could say, because I had grown tired of all the backbiting and just going nowhere. The emptiness that it provided for me, it wasn't enough anymore. You get familiar with a lot of guys. I made a lot of friends in it, but we were all on this treadmill going nowhere, and it hit that point for me where it was just frustrating. In my early years, I was like one of those members we call GD crazy. I believed in every aspect of it. I would spend hours upon hours trying to memorize the literature that we had to know, the handshakes, something that we call stacking. It's just a way of communicating using sign language and movements of your body. Um, I even wrote a short story about uh, being in GD, and I wish I had it. I would share it with you, but I don't. But I was that consumed by it that, it represented the dominant parts of my life. I'll never forget, man. My sister had come to visit me one time, and her and my niece, they had on uh, like red shirts, right? And I'm like, why did y'all wear that up here? Y'all know what it is with me, right? I was that consumed with it, right? Uh, but here's the thing. Um, the organization was founded in Chicago. I'm not going to get into the details of that, and quite honestly, some of the stuff I don't even remember today. But it was founded on the South Side in Chicago. I didn't know anybody, other than my family in Chicago. I had never been there to the extent to research the history, but I wanted to. I wanted to, but I didn't go. Uh, I hadn't even heard about GD until I had gotten into the Marines, and that's when I heard about it and I became a member. Yeah, that's right. I became a member of GD when I was in the Marine Corps. Even though when I got locked up, I had to get re-blessed, and I'll explain that real quick. When I came into the prison system, a lot of guys, when you got to go through this screening process, and I told them who had blessed me in, and they couldn't get in touch with them, and for whatever reason. And that was a red flag to them. I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. So they said, in order for me to continue to claim it, I would have to be re-blessed, and I was, so I could remain a member. But that was a red flag for me because I didn't catch it, because if the organization was as well organized as I had been led to believe, they would have been able to get in touch with the people that had blessed me in uh, easier. They couldn't. But I didn't notice that. I didn't recognize that something's wrong here. If you're part of an organization, a nationwide organization, and they don't even know who the people I'm talking about, but everybody in it claims that that there's this amazing network that keeps track of the members. Uh, Everybody knows who to go to in certain cities and so on and so forth. But it's not. It's this. It's this loosely thrown together organization that is based in different cities, uh, headquartered in different cities, and they communicate when they have to, but it's really not a cohesive ideology that's going to move it forward into a direction that's uh, going to create change for the people, for the members of it. It's put on that it is, but it's not. The concept of it, don't get me wrong about what I'm about to say, but the concept of it is great. You know, upliftment. You know what I'm saying? Overcoming adversity and things of that nature. But then when you pull back the covers, you see that it's about hurting people and drugs and manipulation and killing and all of those things. And that's just not enough as you get older and you have a perspective of doing better for yourself and the people in your family. It became for me uh, tired, tired, stale, and past its prime for me. It had no appeal for me anymore. Uh, I could talk about all of the people that uh, didn't like me or did like me. I was known as a disciplinarian. If you messed up, beat them up. Beat them up. That was the law. That's what I believed in. And people didn't like that I followed the rules of the organization, which were, look, heavy handed. So they would always try to act right in front of me, but behind my back, it was something else. They always had these uh, cliques within a clique. You know what I'm saying? To maneuver this and maneuver that. We wasn't supposed to use addictive drugs, but they did, and it was always an exception for this person or that person. We were not supposed to uh, mess with boys, but we had those that did. And I'm not homophobic. Don't get me twisted. That's between. I believe every relationship with anybody is a relationship between you and God. So however people deal with that, I'm not trying to down anybody for what they get down. But as far as being a gangster disciple, you couldn't do that. But I knew many that did. I knew many that did. Um, we were not supposed to do a whole lot of things, but it was always some exception. And you always had these uh, different city squabbles. If you were not from Memphis, they didn't like you unless you got cool with them. I got cool with a lot of brothers from Memphis. They taught me a lot. You know what I'm saying? But if you wasn't from Chattanooga, the Chattanooga brothers bonded together, and everywhere you were from, it was bonding by zip code. You know what I'm saying? By area code, and it was always something. It was like being a big brother, a babysitter, a mama, a daddy, all of that rolled up into one. And you had to deal with all of these different personalities and all these different issues. And for the most part, you know, I spoke about this in another episode. The majority of people that I ran into uh, in the org, they had mental health issues. And they were being manipulated and used by those individuals that were higher functioning, but they had problems too. They didn't know how to reason problems out. That's one of the reasons that I rose through the ranks so fast. But I had problems myself. But I didn't have anybody that I can go to other than my number two and a couple of other brothers that I had met and bonded with throughout the years. It was a big manipulation machine. And it just became something that I just wasn't fond of anymore. I was always running into issues. I remember when one time we were going through a split and the organization divided, and it made, and when I say divided, I mean you had brothers that didn't want to adhere to how we ran things on the compound, so they created a lot of strife, and a lot of brothers went their way with them, and we went ours, and we were at war. Now, that didn't make any sense to me because these were members or people that I had come to know, some of them, and care about, and now all of a sudden, because we didn't agree, we were on opposite sides, and we picked up arms against each other. And if we would have caught each other slipping, we would have hurt each other, maybe killed each other. And for what? For something that was put on a piece of paper by people that we never met, not to this day, didn't know, uh, and not necessarily agree with everything that was on the paper. But once we took that oath and we submitted and we said that we would be subordinate to it, we put everything that we had into it. And we would have hurt each other for seeing it a different way. And I just got tired of living a lifestyle that required me, when it was called for by somebody that, quite frankly, that I believe didn't have enough knowledge, wisdom, or understanding to lead. But if they told me to go do something, I had to go do it. I had to go do it. I'll never forget the first time that I got put in violation. Um, I was told that what I thought about it didn't matter, and that I needed to accept other men beating on me to set the example that nobody was above GD. That was another red flag. I didn't catch it. But I was so consumed by it that I allowed other men that didn't know me, were not my family members, that had no love for me other than the love that they professed because of GD, to beat me. They beat me, man. And I accepted that. But it built inside of me a rage that, where I wanted to get my lick back. So for years after that, I did exactly what they did to me. I hurt a lot of people that were part of GD because I had gotten hurt by GD, but I didn't see that it was corrupting me. I didn't see that. I didn't see that it was turning me into a monster. But here's the thing. You won't see it. And that's what, you need to understand about this. You won't see it. If you have, if you haven't been grounded, and when I say if you're not grounded in how your parents, grandparents, or the people in your life raised you, you will be sucked in by something like this. I'm not making any excuses, but my mother died when I was a kid. My father was in prison. My grandparents on my mother's side raised me with my grandparents on my father's side. Uh, they instilled in me certain morals and certain values uh, by teaching me different lessons. You know, they taught me a work ethic through the chores that I had around the house. They taught me about gratitude uh, by showing me how grateful they were for the things that the Most High had blessed them with and the health that they had. But these lessons were lessons that dawned on me as I got older uh, after I was in prison. I performed all the tasks that they did and I listened to all the conversations that they gave me, but they didn't stick. They didn't overpower the influences that encroached upon me that were presented to me once I was on my own. And that's how a lot of us get consumed by it. I always said that it's the myth of GD or gang life that attracts you. It's the reality of GD or gang life that traps you. Once you're in, you're in. And to get out of it, it requires blood, a beating, or something. And I just had, the lifestyle, it just became tired to me. Yeah, I know a lot of people that are still in it, and I still talk to them and kick it with them. And I talk to them about, they ask me this question all the time: why did I leave? And I talk to them about it all the time. And a lot of them tell me in private, man, I wish I would have done that. A lot of them have told me that, I shouldn't have done it, and they still try to get me to come back. They believe that it is worth something to them. And until a person believes that or sees what it's really about, they're going to stay a part of it. And that's the danger of it when you have a young person that gets manipulated into it, even if they think that they made the choice to join. It was a manipulation. It was a smooth manipulation, is what I call it. Once they get pulled in, uh, they're going to be in it for a while until they realize on their own, or maybe with some help from a family member, somebody that cares about them, that it's nothing. We cover our bodies in tattoos, and I didn't. I have never gotten a tattoo in my life, never. But I had somebody stick a hot branding iron on me. That it's a brand on my body. I'm not proud of it at all. That signifies that I was that. Now, I'm not proud of that at all. And the first opportunity I get when I go home, I'm getting it removed if I can. But we'll see. Even if they had to cut the meat off of me, I would. If that was the option, if that's the option when I get home, this is what it is. Cut it. I'm that serious about uh, not wanting to be a part of it because it's. And I've said this before, and I'm not talking about the people in it. I'm talking about the ideology is evil. And I believe that when it was conceived out of when they started writing all of this stuff down. It was conceived out of a rage and a hatred, self hatred, uh, wrapped in uh, manipulation and presented with compassion, and people drunk it. It's like Kool-Aid, you know what I'm saying? Jim Jones Kool-Aid. And I was fortunate enough to uh, find the antidote to it. Yeah, yeah. The Most High. The Most High gave me the courage, even when I didn't realize it. The Most High gave me the courage to stick to my guns, to walk away, and to never go back. The Most High gives me courage today to even talk about this. Because a lot of people don't like that I'm saying these things, but that's okay. That's okay. But those are some of the reasons that I left GD. But I guess the main reason is that I it, I outgrew it. I just outgrew it, and the reason I'm talking about it in this way is because I could give you like this happened on that day and this happened on this day and that. But no, the deeper reason is I just got tired of all the games. It's not what you think it is. For those of you that may be a part of it or consider to be a part of it, the people that are part of it, you know what it is. Tell people the truth. Tell people the truth. If you want to create something that's based off of the lies that we tell, meaning if you want to create an organization that cares about its members, that's compassionate, that's about economic growth, education, all of those things, political development. If you want to create an organization about that, create one about that. But to continue to use that as recruiting tools with this, you're wrong. Tell people the truth about it. Tell people the truth about it because it's not a nice thing. It's not something that you should be trying to encourage people to join. It's not. It will get you killed or cause you to have to kill somebody. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. And I just wanted people to know that. That's why I have no problem talking about it. If you got any specific questions about this topic, hit me up in my comment section. And it may take me a minute because y'all know I'm locked up. I don't have access. I ain't breaking no rules. But when I do, call home, my people tell me what's going on, and they'll read them to me and say this and say that. And I'll have no problem with talking about it. None at all. None at all. But I'm not going to glorify it. I'm not going to promote it. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to tell my truth about it. I'm not afraid of anybody. It wasn't that at all. It was all about, I just grew tired of all of the things that you have to tolerate and put up with to maintain and remain a member of that. It's just too much. It's too much. And it wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. I'm going to wrap this thing up, man. And like I said, I appreciate all of y'all out there, and for those of you out there that hit me with those super thanks, appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.